Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Made in New England interview series, where we talk with New England-based companies and the people who lead them. I'm your host, Steve DeVries, and today I'm joined by Tim Blaisdell, the CEO of Pith Products, located in Ashford, Connecticut. Tim, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
All right. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what your company does?
Sure. Let me start with the company. Pith Products has been around for 33 years now. We are tool management, storage, and transportation experts. We design and custom build, point of use stations, assembly kit carts, foam holders for your tools. And when I say tool, it can be a part, a subassembly, a fixture, or it could be literally a tool as much as a hammer. So we do that primarily for the aerospace industry and any kind of lean manufacturing experience. We make, all those kinds of equipment. So it's interesting and it changes every day. It's a good business to be in. As for me, I've been in and around the aerospace business industry for primarily the bulk of my career, probably the last 25 plus years, whether it was Pratt & Whitney or MDS Aero or VLN Advanced Technologies, Cumberland Additive. I've always been at the edge of technology for aerospace, a strategy, that type of business development and partnerships, that side of the realm. This is really the first time I've been at the head of the ops side. So it's been interesting. I've learned a lot. I won't say I won't learn a lot more. But we're having fun and it's a good time because I'm here to grow the business. We had a takeover or a purchase a year before I came on, which was a year and a half ago, so 2.5 years ago. And it's a good business. It's got a good stable foundation, but now we're trying to put the rest of the pieces together so we can grow it and grow it sustainably.
Two-part question, I guess. What's driven your success to this point as an executive? And then what would you say has driven the success for Pith to be in business for over 30 years?
You know what? Actually, somewhat similar. I'll start with Pith. Pith is unique. I just gave you a definition of what we do, but in simple terms, we build crates, we build carts, we build containers that hold those tools that we talked about. So they're unique in the sense that, there's somebody who will build pallets and crates. There's somebody who can build a box. There's someone who can do the foam inserts. There's someone that can do carts, but there's not many people anywhere, whether it's in the U.S. or outside the U.S., that does the breadth of capability, or the breadth of building and design that we do. So we're sort of a one-stop shop for the aerospace world because they need all of those different elements, those different stovepipes. As for me, I guess it's somewhat similar because I've been in the business development side. I've been in the sales side. I've been in the strategy side. I've been a little bit in the ops side. This is a lot more than I in the manufacturing side than I've been before. So you know what? I've had a little bit of each of those elements, and you put them together, and I guess that's what it takes to run a small business.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's one of the things I love about being at the head of a small business. You get your hands in every facet of the operation, right? Whether it's actual manufacturing operations, engineering, IT, finance, people, sales, marketing. That's what makes it fun, right? Is that you get to dabble in a little bit of everything. At least it's fun for me.
So it's not too often that you have 2 days that are similar.
Absolutely. Well, so as CEO in your business, what things do you look at to help you know that Pith is moving in the right direction to meet its goals? Are there metrics or market indicators that you look at to help you make decisions?
That's a great question and something we struggle with a little bit because this business historically has been very transactional, right? You need a box. Okay, you call Pith and you get a quote and you get a box. Rarely is it, okay, it's 8 months out and we're planning for something. So my Pratt days, when we're doing MRO on engines, we literally lay this stuff out 3 years ahead and know that those engines are going to come in. Well, it's very different here. And I've struggled with it. And we've worked with different softwares that we've created to try to bridge the gap and help us, see a little bit more into the future. We have the very simple metrics that every business has, how much are you quoting? How many of those are you winning? What's your backlog and your delivery? And we use those as much as we can, but we're very much trying to become more of a contractual business than a transactional business. So we're looking at bigger contracts. We're trying to tell Pratt, hey, you order these things once a quarter. Why can't we look at this as a whole year's worth of order? So things like that.
That's interesting. I like that, contractual versus transactional. So you just builds a little bit more predictability into your business, right?
Yeah, I mean, right, it's like you're on a bicycle and you're pedaling really hard every day. You know what? Let's put it down a couple of gears and start to cruise. And you level load your shop, you level load your workforce. People aren't getting hit with a ton of quotes or problems or questions in one time. You're gonna work at it over a more sustainable period and hopefully get more sustainable growth out of it too, because you can spread things out.
Yeah, and I mean, so leveraging your past experience in the aerospace industry makes all the sense in the world. If they have a 3-year window of visibility on their projects, why shouldn't their suppliers?
Yeah, I mean, it's not rocket science, for lack of a better term, but it really is. It's just, and how many other times is Pratt's worried about, $10 million engines and how to get those out? They're not worried about the box that carries one part that they're going to hold or ship to one of their bases. So we're trying to do the work for them and, look at the past and try to help predict the future. And they know what they'll have to buy for that part. But what they don't see is what it takes for that supplier to make the part, get the container that it's going to sit in, and then get it back to them. And that's, we're just trying to help, everyone get better. I use Pratt as an easy example because I know that system very well, but it works across the board.
Sounds like you position Pith as kind of an extension of your clients' engineering teams, right? They're not necessarily thinking about the shipping containers or storage containers, but you are.
And that's actually a great segue too, is we're trying to embed ourselves there too, to help them design it so we can build it cheaper and faster. And in some cases, we have better products. Why do you have to have something that you specify all the time when we have a cheaper solution that's got all the same specs? So yeah, we're trying to embed ourselves more at the beginning of the cycle.
So what excites you most about the future of the business?
As I say, sustainable, I also scalable to me is a big deal. And once it's scalable, I want it to be sustainable. And I think we can do that here. I think we have really good product. As I said, the breadth of our product offering helps us because everybody's trying to narrow their supply chain and deal with less folks. And that's great. And we can do that. So when I sit in front of other executives, even at these huge companies, it makes sense. So we get a little momentum, and then they put me in touch with the right people, and we go at it that way. I'm excited because I think we have a really good solution to help the aerospace in almost every aspect.
So now flipping the switch a little bit, if you could wave a magic wand, now that you've been in the industry for the bulk of your career, but you've been at Pith for just under 2 years now. So if you could, using that last couple of years of experience and understanding with Pith and what it can do, if you could wave a magic wand right over the business or maybe over the industry and make one thing happen, what would that be?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is back to the transactional and contractual side. If I could make people understand that it's cheaper and more effective to share that data, then, how's that I always look for a win-win situation. And I don't see how that's not a win-win situation. It's just not many people, companies, and it's primarily aerospace because the competitiveness, GE and Pratt are not going to, they are partners in some places, but that's, few and far between. And the Boeings and the Airbuses and so on and so forth. It's hard to get them to look at the big picture and say, you know what, let's give them a bunch of data and let me help them. Right. And just take some of the problems. There's so many challenges in this world, and especially in the aerospace business, because you're at the edge of technology. If the more challenges you take away, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, sounds like it makes sense to me. Maybe here's a little simpler question. So the name of the show is Made in New England, right? And so it's all about businesses that are here in New England. What is it about being located in New England, pros or cons, that may affect Pith?
The pros are really easy and simple. We're here because of Aerospace Alley. We are literally between Boston and New York, and even more succinct, in Aerospace Alley because there are hundreds of folks that are, you have the big OEMs, the Pratts, the Sikorskys, and so on. But then you have your tier ones, and you have different levels of them, whether it's the Hanwhas or the GKNs or the MTUs. And then you have the smaller tier ones that you don't know as much about. And then the tier twos that you hardly ever know about because they're $5 to $10 million, hundreds and hundreds. So we literally, when I started here a year and a half ago, 99% of our business was within trucks area and, 60 miles from our shop. Now we have customers in Maryland, in Florida, in Virginia, in Texas, in Oklahoma. So we're trying to branch out and grow that way. And by the way, they're primarily the same companies, but now we've hit the rest of them, or other divisions of them, and made them aware of us. But Aerospace Alley and New England, it's got good businesses, and in my world, aerospace, it's got good people. It's always hard to find good people to work for you, but that's when you start to make a niche and get it smaller and smaller and smaller. New England's got a great workforce. Business can be tough. Now you start to get into the cons a little bit. I mean, it's still a tough area to do business, but it's getting better. Paul Lavoie and that whole crew has made things a lot better in Connecticut, I feel. The subsidiaries, I call them, of the CCATs and all the other ones that are helping the CBIAs and stuff. It's tough. It's a tough business, but I love New England. I grew up in upstate New York. I went to school in New York. I moved to Florida for a while, came back to Connecticut, went to school again. So yeah, the Northeast, I love the Northeast.
Nice. Well, so you've been part of really large businesses. You operate a small business today, and I'm sure met lots and lots of people along the way, plenty of education. Can you think of one of the best pieces of advice that you've received along the way that you could share with other business leaders?
You know what? And this is really simple, but unfortunately I just lived it the last month, and I should have listened to my own head and what people taught me for. Surround yourself with good people. Good things happen. You know what? You hire attitude and character, and you train or teach skills. It's just, and the diversity is great. But the bottom line of it is you need good people with good attitude, and things will take care of themselves. And that's what we have here. And I got to tell you, man, I strayed away from that. I hired some folks, and I sort of overruled some of my folks and hired someone, and some things just don't work out. But I should have known that, and I should have used my own mantra in the first place.
It's great advice, and it's something that we talk about is, in fact, I even posted about this recently, something called the Carnegie Triangle, where, you've got attitude on one side of the triangle, you've got skills, and you've got knowledge, right? And most people, if you ask them, think that the skills and the knowledge side of the triangle are far more important than attitude, but you just nailed it, right? Attitude is everything. It's 80 to 90% of having a successful employee, right? So I applaud you for making that observation, because it's something that we lose sight of. We get excited about these fancy resumes with all these skills, and we forget, do they have the right attitude? Are they going to fit with the
culture? I just found out how big culture is again, and it just, I just took my eye off the ball doing too many things, but that won't happen again in that realm, at least. Attitude, good people, so you don't have to worry about what's going to happen. They're going to make the right choice on their own. It's invaluable. And if your company's not that way, take the time to model it that way, because it'll pay for itself.
Great advice. That was the last question. So Tim, thank you so much for your time today. It was great talking to you and learning more about you and Pith.
Well, thanks, Steve. It was good to see you again.
All right. Absolutely. So thanks everybody for watching and listening. We'll be back with another episode very soon. Again, many thanks to Tim Blaisdell of Pith Products for joining us today. We'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.